What I see is that the Democratic Party takes working class communities for granted, they take people of color for granted, and they just assume that we're going to turn out no matter how bland or half-stepping these proposals are. I do think that sometimes, especially coming into this going straight from activism to being a candidate or to being a person who potentially, looks like will be holding political office soon, I think we expect our politicians to be perfect and fully formed and on point on every single issue. I know what it's like to access the privilege of a zip code but also be born in one that could have destined me to something else. There's this false notion that you have to separate and choose between issues of class and issues of race. What people do when they say that you need to separate class from race is that they are really just saying that people of color should come second. There is no such thing as talking about class without there being implications of the racial history of the United States. You just can't do it. Our democracy is designed to speak truth to power. I just hope that more people will ignore the fatalism of the argument that we are beyond repair. We are not beyond repair. We are never beyond repair. I'm very hands-on about social media. That's my voice. Capitalism has not always existed in the world and will not always exist in the world. I wasn't born to a wealthy or powerful family, mother from Puerto Rico, dad from the South Bronx. We are fighting for an unapologetic movement for economic, social, and racial justice in the United States. I see people like me, who thought someone like me couldn't be in politics, now are saying, oh, wait, I don't need to take money from corporations to run. Maybe I'll run, too. What we need to do is lay out a plan and a vision that people can believe in. And getting into Twitter fights with the president is not exactly where we're going to find progress as a nation. I'm an educator. I'm an organizer. When people feel like they are being spoken directly to, I do feel like they'll do things like turn out in an off-year, mid-year primary. In Puerto Rico, we continue to see the perpetuation of second-class citizenship in the United States. Nobody ever wins the first time they run for office. Nobody's ever supposed to win their first bid for office. Nobody's ever supposed to win without taking lobbyists' money. No one's ever supposed to defeat an incumbent. No one's ever supposed to run a grassroots campaign without running any ads on television. We did all of those things. Working class Americans want a clear champion, and there is nothing radical about moral clarity in 2018. The Republicans galvanize their base by inciting a lot of fear, they operate on a lot of myth-making. So we have to have something compelling. We shouldn't be afraid to be bold. People try to identify who is the most likely person to turn out, and what we did is that we changed who turns out. And that changes the whole electorate. I'm used to people kind of knowing me in the community. My mother cleaned homes and drove school buses, and when my family was on the brink of foreclosure, I started bartending and waitressing. The biggest hurdle that our communities have is cynicism, saying it's a done deal, who cares, there's no point to voting. If we can get somebody to care, it's a huge victory for the movement and the causes we are trying to advance. At Standing Rock, we experienced, firsthand, people coming together in their communities and trying to use the levers of representative democracy to try and say, we don't want this in our community, we don't want this in our backyard, and corporations using their monetary influence to completely erode that process. Congress is too old. They don't have a stake in the game. It was really my experience at Standing Rock that was pretty pivotal for me because I saw how corporations were literally militarizing themselves against American citizens so that they could kind of maximize their profit margins on fossil fuels. Democrats are a big tent party. I'm not trying to impose an ideology on all, several hundred members of Congress.